It's a Savage Economic Development Commission meeting, Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. Regina, could you call the roll, please?
Yes. Commissioner Suleiman.
Yes.
Commissioner McIntosh.
Here.
Commissioner Rasmussen.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson.
Here.
Commissioner Huss.
Here.
Commissioner Sims.
Here.
Commissioner Zastro. And Commissioner Corrigan.
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Suleiman, you will be a voting member due to Zastro's absence.
Third in a row. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any additions, deletions, modifications to the agenda?
No changes from staff.
On the staff? Anything from the table?
No.
I'd like to add one. I'd just like to make a comment and note regarding the email that was sent out about a week and a half ago. I think the appropriate time there would probably be after we approve the minutes from the last meeting. So if everybody's okay with that. Consensus that we've approved the agenda as amended then? I believe we have consensus. Okay, very good. Meeting minutes from last month's meeting, March 15th, 2025.
No changes from staff.
Any changes from this table? Comments?
Nope.
There seemed to be some confusion at the very end about how the meeting got adjourned. I think Mark made the motion, and
Oh,
you might want to clear that up, and I think I called the meeting to an end at the,
can you clarify that? Zastro called the meeting for adjournment?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I see that. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
We'll fix that.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are
Chair,
approved.
just,
Yes.
Congratulations on writing the minutes. They were very well done.
They
And
are.
I know some of the organizations just do the actions and don't do the conversation or don't include the conversation. I thought you did a great job doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll pass it along to Sandy as well.
Concur. That's great. The one item I wanted to add and just discuss was Regina sent us an email about a week and a half ago. And at last month's meeting, when we discussed the issue of the sale of the right-of-way land that was just west of City Hall, there was some concern brought up regarding conflict of interest at the council regarding that sale. The council watched our minutes, or watched our meeting anyway, and they did respond, and Regina sent that out to everybody. So I want to make sure everybody got the email and that it was there. So, and I think they also, you also attached a link to a document from the League of Minnesota Cities on conflict of interest that
Correct.
could be of interest to everybody to take a look at as well. The other thing that was attached, and I apologize, this probably should have been attached in February for our organizational meeting when we discussed roles and responsibilities, was the attachment on the city's media policy, social media policy. So we do have that out now, so take a look at it. It's pretty extensive, and it's generally for staff, but Section 25 relates to appointed commission members as well. So if you want to take a moment and open that up sometime when you're home and read through it, you can zero in on Section 25. So that was.
And I'd like to offer, Chair and members of the commission, if at any time you do have a question, whether it's conflict of interest, social media policy, a question regarding something on the agenda, something that you just want some clarification from either staff or our legal team, work through me. I'm happy to ask the question and get you a response. So don't feel afraid to either call me or email me. I'll make sure I get you the information.
Good. Thank you.
Mr.
Fred?
Chair, question on the sale of the right-of-way. Is that going ahead with or without the project? Is there a closing date for the sale of the right-of-way?
I can speak to that if you'd like at this time.
Sure, I was expecting it might be up under updates, but go ahead, as long as we broach the subject.
So I brought the recommendation that the Economic Development Commission supplied to the City Council on April 17th, gave an overview of the proposal we received, and the council discussion and direction was to not enter into a development contract, but do follow up with a purchase agreement. And so we're currently drafting that with our city attorney. We'll present that to the property owner and potential buyer, who is Carl Bond, and from there set hopefully a closing date shortly after. We will bring it back to City Council, the drafted purchase agreement, and we intend to do that at their May work session for a first look, and then to City Council for approval.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
So the desire of the council was to split the two actions, the development off from the sale itself.
They essentially accepted the proposal and then directed staff to work on a purchase agreement.
Okay.
So in our staff recommendation, we had suggested a development contract, and what that would do would set timelines or parameters on more specifics on when the development would need to happen. And oftentimes you may set, the development needs to occur in 2 years or 3 years, and that can always be extended, if market conditions aren't right. But council decision was to not create any additional barriers, especially the unknowns with the economy, and so directed staff to just work on the purchase agreement.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments on that?
Just out of curiosity, do you think the buyer would be less likely to want to proceed without the development agreement? Or, this is just for my own reference, or is the expectation is that they will get a development agreement, it just, again, going to be not linked to the purchase agreement?
Specific to the sale, the development contract would essentially spell out a timeline for performance of actual construction of the building, and the potential buyer did indicate that that was of concern to have that, and that would create a barrier. As far as process that any future development will need to go through, they'll have to submit an application for development, which will include platting of the property. It will be a site plan that will be reviewed, and that will go to Planning Commission and City Council. That will come at a later date once assuming the developer has full control of the property. That will be a separate development agreement, a different terminology.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's just what I was trying to understand, what the terminology meant. But yeah, thank you for the clarification.
Any final comments? Okay, moving on to general business, providing feedback on the Economic Development Strategic Plan, RFP.
So I'm going to move over just to the presentation area. I have the scope items listed, I believe it's 1 through 8 on a screen. So just for the viewing audience, could see what we're talking about, as well as So the city currently has an economic development plan integrated into our 2040 comprehensive plan. It's there is a lot of information in there. It's tables with measures and strategies, and many of those have actually been completed over the years since it was adopted in 2019. Some things within that list are things that maybe aren't desirable anymore by the community, maybe things that we just don't have funding for to progress on, or some things may be out of our control, maybe the property owner or property that's identified. There's just not that appetite from the property owner to move forward on the type of use maybe that's explained. So that was done or adopted in 2019, again, as part of the comprehensive plan. And what the comprehensive plan does, it looks at a 10-year, essentially, vision for kind of the future of the city. And not all cities or cities aren't required to have an economic development chapter within their comprehensive plan, but that's something that Savage chose to do. And something that a lot of cities do choose to do just to keep them on a path forward. And there's a lot of tie-in with things like land use and transportation, so it's a good fit. So I think it's a great thing that we did have an economic development section within our chapter. The downside is it's a 10-year vision. So when I look to this economic development strategic plan that we hope to create, it's more of a 5-year vision, so more actionable tasks focused. And as the economy changes, as our world changes, our community changes, some things happen really fast. Some things happen even faster than 5 years, as we know. And so, but it's more of a smaller snapshot and more I guess, actionable or doable in those kind of more smaller bites. So the city, not only have we done the economic development plan within the comprehensive plan, but in, I believe it was 2021 and 2022, the city council did some strategic visioning for the city. And one of those items within that strategic visioning was looking at planning and redevelopment within the city. And that led us to focus in on our downtown area. So we completed the downtown redevelopment vision just at the end of 2024. And that's something that we will continue to progress on. There's implementation strategies and goals within that plan. So that is something of reference as well. So I basically took some information from the comprehensive plan that's included in your packet just as background information, as well as just a blurb from the strategic visioning that was done from the city council. And now we're looking kind of, that next step, and we want to do a more, deeper dive into creating this economic development strategic plan to kind of lead us into the next few years. So within your packet is a draft proposed scope of work. So I want to get feedback from the Economic Development Commission on the 8 items that are listed there. What else would you like to see? What maybe do you think is not necessary? Maybe you've perused other economic development plans from other cities or through your personal experience or professional experience would like to see some things looked at. So looking for feedback. Next step to this, I will be taking this to the City Council in May at their next work session for their feedback as well. So love to have your eyes on this from that business or that Economic Development Commission lens. So I'm happy to kind of walk through the scope. We do intend to hire a consultant to help us to help facilitate this. We also intend to use the Economic Development Commission, perhaps other commissions too, like the Community Equity Commission has in their READY report has indicated a desire to connect with our BIPOC businesses, and so we can expand upon that. We also want to connect with the community, so leveraging our Let's Talk Savage platform, connecting with the Chamber of Commerce, and I've also indicated connecting with the Scott County Community Development Agency. They provide a lot of programs that are business related through a variety of measures, whether it's through recycling grants. Actually, Scott County provides recycling grants to businesses, to business assistance, access to funding and things like that. So we want to make sure that in some way our partners are at the table and that we're getting feedback from other stakeholders within the community. So with that, any questions first before I dive into kind of the core scope of work?
Questions by anyone at this point?
No questions.
Okay, go right ahead.
Yep. So first off, kind of to see where we are, we're recommending that the proposal include and that we work through a SWOT exercise, so looking at the City of Savage's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We would like the consultant to do a baseline assessment of our current demographics, economic data. We'll certainly provide them with any information that we have, background documents. There's a list of documents that are within the RFP. Certainly can add more, but we will provide them with anything that they need to do their jobs for us. Market trends and industry opportunity. So we want to see like what's out there, what could Savage benefit for as far as the different sectors that we have within Savage, and we want to make sure that the goals align with our strategy of growth and renewal. Comparative market analysis and peer review. So there's other communities out there, not only within Minnesota, but maybe nationally that we can draw from and learn from. What are some of those success strategies that others have used so that we can, kind of learn from them, and maybe some of those best practices can be adapted for Savage. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of great models out there. Identifying financial incentives for business development. What does that look like? Ultimately, is that a fund that the city has, or is that just what can we do better to market our incentives that are available to people and connecting people? Is it that we just how on board is how aggressive does the city want to get with these incentives? Is it simply staff time? Is it being that connector and that navigator to assist with businesses, or is it actually providing a match or money? And we can do that in different ways. Or is it? Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, that's one of the questions I had was on that particular item. I mean, we've had a number of workshops here identifying those and looking at what the financial toolbox is, so I think everyone's pretty well versed in the city on what they are. I don't know that it's identifying them as much as it's how could they
Okay.
if you put it in the RFP and you end up with a laundry list of things, I think we've already got the laundry list, but I think what you were talking about makes a lot of sense, is how best to utilize them, how other people might be utilizing them that we aren't.
Utilized and leveraged. I like that. Okay, made a note of that. Inclusive economic development. So again, I talked about briefly the CEC was instrumental in completing what they call the READY report. And Goal 5 does talk about making connections with our BIPOC businesses. And then during our discussions, when looking at our annual kind of check-in goals and priorities for the commission. We also identified veteran-owned businesses, connecting with veteran-owned businesses, and then women-owned businesses too. So just looking at how can we be a more inclusive city in regards to economic development with our underrepresented business owners? What are some tools that we can do to really spark that? And then stakeholder engagement, again, there are a number of stakeholders within the community. I've identified some, certainly not limited to this list that I have here, but really open to feedback that the commission might have as well on who else to engage with. Staffing plan recommendations. So to carry out a lot of the work, depending on the level of recommendation that comes out of this plan. Some items may be very staff intensive, and so what does that look like? Is that a new position or change in our org structure to help focus on whatever that outcome might be? Or is it maybe we look at our organization today and we have people, but maybe they're, lacking in a certain skill set and could use, training on more, I just think of myself and I'm in charge of leasing of our spaces. Well, that's something that's not part of my background. I'm learning along the way. But, training of my own training to what does it take to be what are those skills that a commercial broker might, even though I'm not a commercial broker, what are some of those skills that I could brush up on and learn about? Or is it looking at leasing, maybe a recommendation is just hire that out, like consult out and use a broker for those services instead. So that's just one example of you're leveraging other services. Policy and ordinance recommendations. So there are things that we can do to help create clearer paths for our property owners, business owners, our sign companies. And I hear a lot from developers that having a clear process is so important when they're communicating with their contractors, with their lenders, with all the parties that they need to pull together to build a development. And so the clearer it is for them, the more confidence they have, the more confidence their lenders have, and it's easy for them to, line things up. So having that, just having a clear process is worth a lot of weight and time. So what can we do? We're doing some of that now with our zoning code update and trying to clarify and clear things up. But what else can we do? And then, just identifying different policies and ordinance recommendations. And then fiscal impact and budget estimates. So how much are these ideas going to cost, whether it's from staffing, maybe it's other incentives, like how do we pay for this? But then how does that help our overall budget? Maybe we incentivize something, but that brings in, property tax dollars that are tenfold or, 100-fold or whatever that might be. And so, if we can assist a little bit, like what is that return and how does that either impact or help our budget? More buildings, more housing units, well, that has an impact to fire. But it also brings in more tax dollars. So just kind of looking at what are some of those, if we assist in one thing, like how does that impact other things, positive or negatively, and what can we do to counterbalance that? So we're asking for help with that. Just in general, Savage is highly residential, and so and just looking at, are there changes to kind of make it a more balanced land use, if that's what the community wants, and maybe we'll go through this exercise and it's like we're okay where we are, and I guess more to come on that. What else? That's all I have as far as the list of proposed scope of work. I'm happy to go through, flash up any of the slides again, and looking for any comments and suggestions.
Comments, questions, suggestions? It's a quiet morning up here.
In general, when I read it, I thought this was very thorough. And what research I did online as far as a process like this, not just a list, but how to better or best use the existing tools. I agree with the emphasis there. And then number 9, establishing a clear process. I know conversations I've had in the past with people setting up a business in other cities, and I won't name names, but a major metropolitan area to the north of us, the comment was they almost seem to make you break the rules in order to get a business started. And then finally, number 10, a cost-benefit analysis. Yeah, it's going to cost this much, but it will only gain us that much. Those are my general comments there.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yep. So again-
Timeline on the back page for
Yeah.
getting things out and when you expect them to come back in?
Sorry, I did
I'm
have
sorry. Go
one
ahead,
more
Katie.
question. No, I'm sorry.
Yep. No, it's
I know
fine.
you'd asked earlier. So these are, yeah, I agree with the comments from the other commissioners about that. I think it is very detailed. Some of this does seem more tactical, though, than strategic. And I guess I was just, it's part of the city's larger strategic vision, right? That 2040 vision. But some of these seem more like tactical elements to accomplish that vision. I guess I'm a consultant too. If I were coming into this as a consultant, I would be a little bit confused about kind of the maybe overall deliverable that you're asking for, because it's called a strategic plan, but then again, some of these are a little bit more tactical. So maybe that you might get some questions about that. I'm just saying, again, kind of from my perspective as a consultant, that's what I would see that and be a little bit confused of, is it truly a strategic plan, but it's sort of a plan within a plan in a way. And so just something to think about.
Thank you, yeah. That makes sense. That is really good feedback. Thank you.
If you
So
back up, I know I talked about going on to the dates and stuff, but I just kind of a point of interest, the matrix that was part of the background information. It didn't really, I'm just curious as to how many of those things were actually completed, and because a lot of them had EDC next to them, and your chart kind of predated my being on here.
Right.
Except for the last couple of years, so.
Well, I didn't go through the list one by one.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it is quite a hefty list, but, I think a lot of these things in general are either being worked on. I think there's a lot of mention of like Highway 13 and Highway 13 improvements, and that's something that we're going through right now. We talk about the Dan Patch rail and lifting the gag order on that, and that's been done. Working on just identifies several different properties and redevelopment of them, and some have been developed on, redeveloped, and then others there's different reasons on why they haven't been redeveloped. I think of like the Continental sites are mentioned, and people will drive by and see a large green space area. And I know I drove past that for many years, and I drive my commute into Burnsville, and like, what's going on there? Well, one, Highway 13 construction was going on for many, a couple of years, and so there were some construction, I would say, impacts, but it also is a site that's within a floodway, and so there's challenges with actually like physically building on the land. So the floodway and flood zone occupies about 75% of the area, so that's a challenge. And so, and there's other sites that are listed here as well that, for various reasons, are just very challenging, and some of those challenges can be overcome, but it may take time to do. So, like working with FEMA on a no-rise certificate and changing the FEMA flood zone maps. Well, it can be done, it just is costly either if the city pursues that or the private development. It's a process, it takes time, it takes a lot of money. So yeah, there are things on here that have been completed. I think, at least half of the items have been completed.
Okay, good, thanks. I didn't expect a total rundown, I just was curious.
Yeah. So timeline, again, I will be bringing this to the city council at their next work session on May 12th. And then soon after that, once I receive feedback from them and make the edits, I hope to post this before the end of May. And then I expect June as far as to receive proposals, and then hopefully June or July we'll be able to get started, finalize the contract with the potential candidate, and then really get to work. So I'd expect your fall to become a little more busy, focused on the economic development strategic plan, and working with myself and the facilitators, whoever that may be, and excited to be working on this project.
Good. Thank you. Any other comments for Regina?
No.
None, thanks.
Thank you all.
Next item is informational updates. First one being the Savage Chamber update.
Yes, so there are a couple upcoming events. Next event is a chamber after hours at McHugh's on April 24th. The May 29th coffee event is Meet the Chiefs. It is listed at being at the Fire Station 1. However, recently learned that Fire Station 1 will be under construction. They're remodeling it due to making it habitable, more habitable for our full-time fire. And so some changes need to be made internally to assist with that. So we're going to be shifting the Meet the Chiefs over to City Hall. So we'll be hosting in the Marion Room, and then the police department will be providing tours of the PD. So unfortunately, we couldn't do the tours of the fire department, but we still want it to be fun and engaging for attendees. So be sure to sign up and get a behind-the-scenes look at what our police department does for our community every day.
That date again?
It is May 29th in the morning. It's the Wake Up Savage event. And for those that weren't in attendance, our Economic Development Commission members, I believe last meeting I had mentioned that Since the city is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you could sign up and there's no additional fee for you to attend these events. Certainly if to purchase any items, like for example, McHugh's, if you choose to purchase a beverage or appetizer, that would be at your expense. But just to attend the event, to network, it's completely free under the city's membership. And then some information that's been pushed out by the chamber, and just a great FYI for those living in Savage, working in Savage. Construction on I-35 is starting today. That may have impacts for people taking alternate routes, and so just something to be aware of. What I'm hoping for is more people shopping in Savage and learning about the great community that we have as they're making their way, taking those alternate routes. So, but just something to be aware of, again, as you're either traveling through Burnsville or if you notice an uptick of cars, that could be why. And just overall, the chamber has mentioned that their weekly newsletter that gets sent out continues to have a good open rate, people clicking links. And their advisory committee are working on outreach with existing members, inviting them to events, hoping to get more traction with people attending different events and activities, as well as recruitment of new businesses. So they're getting excited and energized about some new momentum there. And then general updates in for development review. We have Meadows second edition. I may have talked about this last time. It's their second phase, senior living. It would not include, the current building has assisted living and memory care. This would just be for active seniors. And this is the building that's across the street from just west of Hy-Vee and south of Lifetime. Quick Trip off of Egan is in for an expansion of their kitchen area. So they'll be adding on to that building in addition. We have an application in for We Farm, which is down east on McCall and Lynn. They want to create, and I may have mentioned this last time, kind of an experience center for school groups to attend and learn about a working farm, what that would look like, as well as offer short-term rental stay and also perhaps a farmer's market, so where you could pick up eggs or produce and things like that. So that is in for an application for an interim use permit. And then we talked about the Bond MWF proposal, and that's about it from a development standpoint.
That's it. Wow. Quick day today. Any comments on any of the updates?
I guess the question on the school property downtown is the school district doing anything with that at this point?
Yep.
The question.
I didn't hear. I didn't hear what you said.
The school building down, I don't remember the name of the school.
MW
School
Savage
property,
School.
the 10 acres
Right.
downtown.
Downtown Savage.
Yeah, so Marion Savage School, which is located downtown, has been vacant for many, many years. We don't have an active proposal at this time. The school district just has not come forward with a proposal. So we're ready. We're ready to move when they are, so.
They're actively marketing it though, I assume.
They've had numerous conversations with developers. They do have a couple other projects going on right now, and so it's I don't know their exact priority and timelines, but they are active with other sites. So this may not be the highest priority, just based off of everything else that they have going on.
I saw too, their superintendent is retiring, so I think they're going to have a little bit of a transition.
At the end of the
period.
school year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, so maybe they're waiting to see what the new superintendent's priorities are.
Right.
Mr. Chair, there was
Yes.
some discussion about expanding the baseball field downtown into that property. It would require taking some of that property to do that. Is that something that could be pursued or is being pursued, or how do you take that into, as a priority? Do you let the school project go first? Do you indicate an interest in expanding the baseball field as part of that discussion? I don't know what the timing of something like that would be.
So Commissioner Corrigan asked about the baseball field downtown next to the Marion Savage School, and is there opportunity to expand that? What does that look like? In our downtown redevelopment vision, that is something that we looked at, and the recommendation from that plan was based off of the size of the space. Even with acquiring property, it could be very challenging to create a usable size field and everything else that goes with the field. So the recommendation of that plan is to not expand the baseball field. It would be the development on the school district property develops kind of into whatever it becomes, likely something, a mix of higher density and maybe medium density, and then creating a opportunity for us to like open up the park area, create pathways, really opening up the river, and that experience. So as far as a baseball field, right now, that's not something that the city would be actively pursuing. So that's where that's at right now.
So I guess my question is in long term, is the baseball field viable? If it seems to need more property, but it's not going to get more property.
Can you clarify, when you say baseball field, what are you, I mean, we're not talking a sand lot here, obviously. I mean, you're talking a stadium type?
Well, I guess some of the communities around Scott County have very active baseball programs.
Right.
And they attract people to the community, and
Jordan's got a really nice field down there, and yeah.
So I don't know when people talk about the current facility, I don't know whether it's not a regulation facility, I don't know whether it's something that doesn't allow a lot of participants to watch those games. I don't know what its deficiencies are, but if they're major enough, maybe it should be redeveloped.
Yeah, and to answer Fred's question, it's not a priority of the cities right now to attract a town ball team and to change that facility into a usable stadium or field for that purpose. So we went through a exercise through the downtown redevelopment vision, and it's just something that is something that we're not actively working on or focusing on right now. Maybe that's something that will come out of the Economic Development Strategic Plan.
As a segue on that, is Minnesota MASH was supposed to be putting up some outdoor facilities. Are they still planning on that, and is there a timeline on that?
I don't have a timeline on that. That is part of their plan is to expand into an outdoor field, but I don't have a
Okay.
ETA on that.
Questions, comments? New ideas, old ideas? No ideas, whatever.
Nothing.
We got nothing, okay.
I just encourage you to, if you're not signed up for the city social media and any alerts from our website, I'd encourage you to do that. Lots of great events are put on throughout the community and get posted on our website. So continue to like and share with your neighbors and and follow.
I will say, the city does a great job with the social media, so the team, the communications team should get a lot of credit, like the.
They sure do, yeah.
Do they do the police and fire department videos as well? Yeah, those are great.
Thank Emily for us.
Yeah,
And
she's
the
got a
whole
great
team.
team. Yep, Anthony and
And
Katie
Anthony,
are.
hiding
really
behind the
great.
door back
Exactly.
there, Anthony. So, next meeting is Wednesday, May 14th. Any final comments before we part for the day? Anyone like to move to adjourn?
I would move that we adjourn.
There's a second.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?